Hello, Internet. This is the Sprocket Docket for October 30th, 2014. I'm Derek, kind of the moderator for tonight. I'll have everybody introduce themselves.
I'm Robert. I'm a Sprocketeer, and I was here last time.
Sorry. Okay, who's next?
Well, I'm Chris, and I'm new here, but I'm looking forward to some fun times with the Dirty Sprocket.
Yay. Chris is one of our newest members.
Yeah, I'm from Spearfish. Growing up with theater and music and dance stuff, so looking into some film work, and that's what I'd like to do for a living, so we'll see how all that works out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Right. Julia, introduce yourself.
I'm Julia Rankin, and I'm actually one of the newer Sprocketeers too. And I put my first post up a little bit ago. I don't know, a cliched beginning, and it got all emotional and stuff.
You made me tear up a little bit.
It was good.
Well, now I can say that I almost made a grown man cry, so that's cool.
Close. All right, Allie.
All right, hello. I'm Allie Berry. I've been with Dirty Sprocket since August. I'm currently an acting major, and I'm also hoping to do film stuff, film studies minor. That's pretty neat. And I am just going to school for that. So, constant party, and, really stressful, so that's cool.
Is that Jasmine behind you?
That is Jasmine. This is my roommate. She's one of the most beautiful people in the world, and I love her. We're live on the internet. Say hello. Oh, hello, internet. Hello.
I couldn't tell you're theater people.
No, not even a little bit.
No.
Don't mind me. Just.
All right. Well, good deal. Okay. Well, this is kind of part of the show. We talk a little bit about what's actually going on with Dirty Sprocket. So I've had a couple of updates on the website. We did a short horror film back in, was that August?
Yeah.
Yeah, Allie was the star of that one. I got to direct that, which was cool. And so that was a good time. And it's in editing right now. I'm close to having it done. I've got a rough cut finished. I'm into tweaking the audio and kind of working on special effects and such right now. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. Robert just did something on the Hangout. I don't know what he did.
I don't know what's happening.
I was experimenting. I will stop it.
All of a sudden, everything changed.
I was really confused.
We're pretty new to kind of this mode of podcasting, so bear with us as we're kind of going. But yeah, so the short is really close. I'm hoping here in the next couple of weeks it will be fully done, and we will release it. And please go watch it.
I'm really nervous. It'd be nice.
Yes, no, you did a great job, Allie. One of the other Sprocketeers, Debbie Rankin, was also in it. A bunch of people were behind the scenes on it. So, yeah, it's kind of our first foray into horror, which is kind of applicable to what we're going to be talking about tonight. I think a lot of us are horror buffs, but we've never really attempted it before, so we wanted to give it a shot. So I think, at least watching the rough cut, I think it kind of works. I hope. It's good. No, I need to be positive. It's amazing. Go watch it, share it, let everybody know. Let's get like 1 million views on it, and we'll all have money, and we'll just make more.
I like that idea. That sounds like a really good idea.
Yes. So, but so that's kind of got the update. Also, to kind of go along with Halloween and everything going on, Halloween tomorrow night is right now on the website. Zach Christie, one of our Sprocketeers, has been doing some Let's Plays of horror video games. What's that, Alex?
You can.
we're trying to get one of our other members to join up here, and I just heard like some heavy breathing or something into a microphone.
Yeah.
That was creepy. But
Get
anyway,
with him.
yes, we'll just have background sound effects the whole time. Yeah, Zach.
That's actually the trick.
Yes. Zach's done one. He did a playthrough of Dead Space video game. Another one that is coming up tonight. So go check those out. They're a lot of fun. Something a little bit different we haven't really done before. So yeah, should go. I'd like to do more. I know Zach's got kind of a plan for a couple other games he wants to do. So make sure check it out, share it, like it, all that fun stuff. So, does anybody else have anything going on right now that they'd like to plug before we get into our main topic?
I can hear you guys a little bit better if that's anything.
Hello, Alex.
That's a plug.
That's a plug. Alex can hear us.
Share it on your Twitter, your Facebook. Alex Anderson can finally hear.
Yeah. Heck yes. Okay. All right. Well, I think we'll probably just go ahead and get into it. We'll get started. Tonight we're going to talk about the state of horror in pop culture. And I just kind of want to talk to everybody, kind of start the discussion going of how they kind of feel about horror type stuff. Start with myself. I am a big horror buff. I love horror movies. Good, bad, shitty, doesn't matter. I enjoy them a lot. I've probably seen most of the Netflix horror movies that they have, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, mostly for worse, because
Yeah.
there are some stinkers. But I am very much a horror aficionado. I like literature, video games, everything to do with horror. I've always enjoyed it, even as a little kid. So this is right in my wheelhouse. What we're going to talk about tonight. So I guess anybody else that wants to talk about how they feel about horror.
Saw's 10th anniversary is,
Yeah,
that's something.
that's kind of crazy that it's been 10 years
Yeah.
since that started.
Speaking of Saw, I saw Princess Bride these other days. And that's got that dude in it. And so I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Dude, yeah.
Were you waiting for that, Robert?
Yeah, I was all day.
Were you waiting for somebody to
I wrote it down. I wrote it down. I was a sticky note, put it in my pocket. I like horror movies also.
Yes.
Yeah. I like just horror movies in general on just how they're made. I think that a lot of people attempt a horror movie because they are pretty known for being the lower budget films, and so I find that really interesting. Whether that's whether that makes them good or not, it just seems to be something that people of all budgets make, and some people with no budget pull it off, and then it goes on for 10 years, and and then some people don't.
Yeah.
So I find that really fascinating. Just special effects and what can be done practically as opposed to digitally, composing it later in After Effects or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, I like that aspect of the horror genre.
But Allie and Julie, are you guys horror fans or?
I am. I have not seen as many movies as I would like to because time is a hard thing to come by. But one of my favorite pastimes on the weekends with my friends is we find movies on Netflix, horror movies that have 1 or 2 stars, and we watch them, and it's beautiful. And I love reading scary stories, and taking myself out of, and I like picking apart things that scare me and wondering why does it scare me or why didn't this scare me when it scared everybody else. I think that's really interesting.
When I was actually little, I used to be one of the biggest scaredy cats in the history of the planet. Like, since my birthday was always so close to Halloween, we'd have haunted houses for my birthday, and I'd always run away from them crying while my friends would go in a second time. But then I think when I was 10 or 11, we were watching Amusement, and I stopped hiding behind my hands, and I realized I actually really, 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 really love horror movies. So.
See, I think I'm kind of with you, Julia. I think when I was a little kid, I was terrified of the dark, just mortified. But I think that's kind of where my love of horror kind of came from. Is I was a scaredy cat too, but I kind of started watching things almost to desensitize myself, and found I really enjoy. Like, I'll just sit alone and watch a horror movie. Doesn't bother me much anymore. Every once in a while, I get a good scary movie, a little creeped out when you're alone, but.
When I was little, the Heffalumps, Winnie the Pooh, they scared me a lot. That was a thing.
The Heffalumps were terrifying.
Yeah.
I was so scared of them. I was a huge scaredy cat too when I was little. I would not watch scary movies, nothing. And then now I still won't unless people are with me, but I thoroughly enjoy them. So.
See, that was actually one of the most common things my wife and I used to do growing up. Is we'd rent just a pile of shitty horror movies and watch through them. And we watched like all the Hellraisers, like almost all of them. If you know anything about that series, that's an accomplishment.
Yep.
And yeah, my wife's back there. She hears. I think our favorite was Army of Darkness and Evil Dead, and those movies. So we had that in common.
What kind of horror movies you guys like? Like slasher, like gore?
I think for me, the stuff that I actually like, because I'll watch anything and I get some enjoyment, especially if it's really shitty. But I think kind of stuff I actually really enjoy tends to be more kind of supernatural, not necessarily too gore-filled.
I agree with that. When it's really gory, I tend to focus on that, and it scares me less, whereas I'm more afraid of really subtle things and psychological thrillers, like things that really make you think, and make you think at night when you're alone after you watch a movie, and you're like, oh, why did I do that? Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. I liked the, it was, again, like I agree with the not too terribly gory, but just the, the mental games of horror movies, like the Collector. I don't know if you've seen the Collector.
That's a good one.
And then the Collection, which was kind of a totally different take from the first one. But yeah, the Collector's good. I remember being the first kind. It's not really a horror movie, but the first movie that really scared me was The Mummy when it first came out. The first, is the first movie. After that, I followed my older brother around, and then after that, I just liked scary movies. But the things that make you think. I don't know.
I think
I'm actually. Oh.
Go ahead.
I think my favorite kind are actually the slasher flicks. I really love the slashers. And the psychological too, I like those. But even when I first started liking horror movies, I was always drawn toward the slasher ones. Because I thought they were fun. I don't know.
Yeah, I think my favorite horror movie of all time is The Shining, the original Shining, which that's actually one of the few movies, like, I will not watch that by myself, that movie. I have to watch that with a group of people, because that movie scares the living crap out of me.
I haven't seen that one. That one sucks.
Wait, you've never seen The Shining?
I never will.
What?
Yeah, no.
Robert!
Hey, that's not how the book was written.
I don't care.
I do. I'm a fan, and that's
How can you not see The Shining?
because I read the book,
Nobody cares about your book, Robert.
and I have respect for the king. So,
Hey, real quick, I don't know what's going on, but it's not switching anymore properly. I think, Robert and Julie, you've got an app turned on. Do you want to turn it off real quick? I think that's maybe what's disabling it.
Do I have an app turned on?
Yeah, it's
The
drawing, I think.
Turned on.
I'm trying to see because it should just switch back and forth between who's talking, but it stopped
Does
doing
it work
that.
when I do this? Nope.
Hmm. Well, we'll just keep going. I'll bear with me as I kind of play around with some stuff here. So,
On my end, it's been switching to whoever's talking.
oh, is it still switching?
It doesn't switch to myself when I'm talking, but it talks to you guys when you guys switch talking.
See, it's not switching for me though.
Okay, it's switching for me now.
I got Allie staring me right in the face.
So maybe
Well,
it's working
won't
for
stop
everybody
it.
else. I
Yeah.
don't know. We did something, but
Alex did it. I told him not to break nothing.
Blame Alex.
Good.
He can't defend himself.
yeah.
Oh, speaking of,
All right. Well,
Oh.
we'll just keep going, and we'll see. We'll see if it kind of starts working again. We'll eventually figure out this Google Hangout stuff. as we
there's
keep
got to
doing
be a
the show.
YouTube video about Google and not screwing it up.
Yeah. Stop breaking it.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, we'll kind of actually start diving into our topic then. Kind of lay the foundation a little bit, but we're going to kind of talk about kind of the state of horror right now. More recent event stuff. So I think let's talk about. Is anybody big horror fans in like literature, like scary books, that kind of stuff?
Love Stephen King. Love it.
How about his more recent stuff? Are you still enjoying that? Like I haven't read a lot of his more recent stuff.
Yeah. I've for a while now I've read everything he's come out with. So he's still the bestest. I think my favorite of his newer stuff is probably Doom McKee. It's kind of a straight up ghost story. It's pretty good. If not Doom McKee, probably Bag of Bones. That's going back a little bit, I think. But my all-time favorite King book is Black House. That's a scary book.
I have not read that one. See, who I've really enjoyed book-wise recently is Stephen King's son, Joe Hill, which he actually didn't show until recently that he was actually Stephen King's son. He kind of kept that way. He wanted to be kind of judged on his own merits. But he's written Horns, which just got turned into a movie.
Good
It
book.
comes out tomorrow. And
Not as good a movie.
that's what I've kind of heard. Also, one of his books, Nosferatu, but it's spelled like a license plate. It is
I just started that one.
fantastic.
I just started that one like Tuesday.
Oh yeah, what are you thinking so far?
It's okay. I'm trying to. He's not Stephen King, but I'm sure he doesn't want to be Stephen King, and I'm having a hard time with that. But I really liked Horns. His other one, he's got another one, the Heart-Shaped Box or something like that.
That's a good one too. I really like Heart-Shaped Box.
I kind of lost interest in that one. It was good for a while, and I don't know. I don't know that I'm going to be able to hang with him.
Huh. Quite enjoying those. Other than that, I probably haven't read a lot of horror recent. I'd gone through a lot of King stuff, a lot of his older stuff, but probably the last one of his that I read, the most recent, was Under the Dome.
Under the Dome was good, but that wasn't horror.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. That's not necessarily horror.
That's a Bruce Willis movie, wasn't it?
Under the Dome?
Yeah.
No.
It was a miniseries filmed in Carolina.
There's the TV show on CBS.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
It's not Bruce Willis, though. It's the guy from Breaking Bad. Hank from Breaking Bad's in that one. So I guess he is like fat Bruce Willis. They're very similar.
Yep.
You know, it's a good horror book that I just recently read. It was The Troop. The Troop by Nick Cutter. I'm not familiar
Dean
with him.
Norris. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
You've read that one?
I have not.
It's Canadian horror.
Canadian horror.
It must be really nice.
It's not
Does
so
something not
much.
say
Does
thank
he yell at
you?
you, sorry?
It's. Sorry, I killed you, eh?
Hey.
Julia, what do you read?
Oh, any horror I read is like Poe.
Oh.
I love Edgar Allan Poe, but
That's like the beginning.
yeah,
What's your favorite Poe short story?
short story.
Yeah.
Ooh, The Black Cat.
No.
Definitely. I love The Black Cat.
Why do you like that one?
Why?
Yeah, why?
Ooh, I don't know. It's just
Robert's gonna get all aggressive here.
Right.
Why do you like
I didn't know I
that?
was gonna have to like
tell
soul
me why it's good.
I'm messy about it. Yeah.
Claws are coming out.
Oh God, I'm not an AP. I'm in AP English, but not for this. It's good because I don't know. I think it has a lot more to do with a personal horror than the rest of them. Like a lot of his stories are people going through this inner torture or this outer torture by themselves. But with The Black Cat or The Fall of the House of Usher, it's not just them, you know? I don't know. I just really like it.
I like the Telltale Heart.
I like that one too. Have you read Annabelle Lee, his poems?
Yeah, my favorite all-time poem ever is The Raven. I love that one. I get that one committed to memory.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Challenge accepted. No, just kidding.
If everybody would, real quick,
That's not helping.
make sure your screen share button is pressed. I think that's what I need. I've been trying to research a little bit as we're going here.
What's the screen share button?
It's on the left.
Chat?
I think, isn't the screen share button mean that you share your own screen?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because then it's just popping up everything.
Oh yeah, because it's asking me if I want to share my Spotify.
Ah, I gotcha.
I know. I got my own Spotify. You keep your Spotify to yourself.
I have Spotify Premium.
For all I know, your music is crappy.
Did you get the student discount for Spotify?
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Love being a, well, I hate, well,
Well,
being a student.
discounts are good.
Is great.
Oh yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, Nightmare on Elm Street 2 came out, and it'd been out for a little while, and so it was on HBO, and I was still pretty young, we weren't allowed to watch crap like that because Mom thought the devil would get us. And I was flipping through the channels one day, and it was on, and it was just at the time where Jesse was turning into Freddy for that first time, and so the claws were coming out of his fingers. Remember that scene?
Mm-hmm.
That wigged me out. That's all I saw. It was like 15 seconds or maybe 30 seconds or whatever it was of that claws coming out of his fingers. And that wigged me out. And for like years after that, I had bad dreams about Freddy Krueger. So like finally, I was over at a friend's house down in Oklahoma, and they had all them movies, and I watched them, and I realized that Freddy was like the coolest thing ever.
I actually had three of those. I actually had basically the exact same experience. You know, the last one where it's super meta.
Yeah.
6, yeah.
Yeah.
New Nightmare. Is
Yeah.
that one.
One time my uncle was babysitting me when I was really young, and I come out of my room to get a glass of water, and I turn around, and all I see is Freddy's detached claw, like, scraping this guy up in his claw, and I break the glass and run screaming in my room.
Holy cow.
And I didn't sleep alone for months. Months.
What's the scariest horror movie you guys ever seen?
The Shining, like I said, for me, that's
And The Mummy doesn't count because that's action. That's family entertainment. You don't get to pick out.
I was like 8. It's a tough one. I really liked 13 Ghosts when that came out, but that's
That was so awesome.
yeah. Because I also knew Tony Shalhoub from Monk, and so I just thought it was really weird to see him in a scary movie.
Yeah. See, that was kind of that part of, because that was Sam Raimi's production company did that one, where they were kind of doing remakes of a lot of the old horror movies. 13 Ghosts, there was a House on Haunted Hill remake. There was a couple others that kind of came out all around that time that were all remakes.
Yeah.
Some of those old classics.
I'd like to have seen another horror that really explored those ghosts. Some of those ghosts were pretty cool.
Yeah.
I remember that was like one of the first DVDs I've ever rented. This is for the young ones, as you know how old we're getting. It's back when we didn't have DVDs, or that wasn't like the thing to have. But I remember that was like yes, that was like one of the first DVDs I had, and they had like a whole thing that had a little video on each of the ghosts, and F. Murray Abrahams narrated it as he explained all the ghosts. And I remember that was like the coolest thing that's ever been invented. Excuse me. Was that? I was used to VHS tapes of everything. So.
Which one was your favorite?
I don't really remember a lot of them anymore. I like the Junkyard Guy.
What? Yeah. What was? I remember the Jackal, and I remember the Jock, or it was. I don't think the Jock was his name, but the Jackal. Yeah, the Junkyard Guy was scary as shit.
Yes. Well, I think kind of as we're talking, let's maybe. I don't think anybody really has a lot of thoughts. We don't really have our video game people really on this podcast. We'll kind of switch over to talk about movies and stuff. I think it's kind of funny as we're talking about a lot of these movies, and kind of like Chris said, there was kind of heyday. We had 13 Ghosts and a bunch of those that were coming out, and those were all our movies. And the trend more recently, probably the last decade, has been more towards having horror movies go towards the PG-13 realm, because it offers up more money for, bigger box office because more people go to it. What do you guys think of the PG-13 of horror movies, or at least mainstream horror movies?
Have you guys ever seen Cabin in the Woods?
Yes.
That was pretty good.
The most unpredictable thing I've ever seen. I think like that. I mean, I think it parodies a lot of stereotypes of horror, which is a good thing to kind of segue to. And because it definitely includes an excessive amount of gore, but it's also pretty. I don't know. I felt like it was pretty cartoony still, in a way. Like the blood was it literally flowed like rivers down a hallway at some points. So some of it was almost just almost comical, which could lend itself to that PG-13 area. But there were still things, especially towards, the very beginning was the stereotype of the high school kids, going camping, and then it pretty quickly got into something that I thought would be a pretty decent horror movie, and then it flipped into everything else that it became. But I think that was a pretty, for what it is, a pretty decent example of how people are implementing horror movies with a much wider audience, and kind of changing up the genre a little bit.
I think one of the really big success stories coming out of that PG-13 thing is the Paranormal Activity movies.
Oh yeah.
Is that R?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think now if Paranormal Activity is R.
I can use the Google machine and find out about that.
I need to check that out. I want to look like. Oh wait, no. Paranormal Activity is R.
I think if you.
Correct.
I think you can write a good PG-13 horror movie. If that's what you're going for, if that's what you're writing, right? But what's happening that makes me mad is they take an R-rated idea, like an Aliens or something along that line, that made a name for itself as a rated R movie, found some success as a rated R movie, and then they decide they need to make it a family movie and turn it into a PG-13 movie so they can sell more toys. That pisses me off because you ruin everything that was good about that movie.
Yeah.
You know, made it a good horror movie. And why is my thing dinging at me all the time? What are you guys doing?
I'm trying to do something. Keep going.
Oh,
Just talk.
that was my whole point.
Wait.
So,
Yeah. Insidious is PG-13. You know, I mean, I remember thinking about that one for, a couple days afterwards, staring at the corners of rooms thinking, dang it, that thing's going to come out of the corner and, eat me. That kind of... but yeah, that's a pretty popular recent PG-13, horror movie.
Well, then even the same director of The Conjuring has PG-13.
Mm-hmm.
The Conjuring is R.
Really? I thought The Conjuring was PG-13.
No, I just typed that in because I was checking that.
I'm just wrong about everything tonight.
what's that new Dracula flick?
That's not,
Dracula Untold.
that's not even a horror movie.
That's not horror, though.
Well, see, and that's but it should be, right? Dracula's freaking horror, and that movie could have been just an awesome horror movie that they, from what I understand, completely ruined by trying to appeal to 10-year-olds.
Monster 3.
Stupid kids.
Well, God, I forgot how to pronounce it. The Ouija? Yeah, Ouija
Yeah.
just came out. That's PG-13.
Mm-hmm. That's almost sad that that's our Halloween movie. Like, that's literally the Halloween movie is Ouija.
A lot of
Anybody
people have
seen
been
it yet?
talking about it.
What was that, Allie?
Has anybody seen it yet?
No.
No.
I have.
Was
What?
it good?
What'd you think?
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It wasn't scary at all. The only there's only one part that gets to me, but that's just because of a personal fear.
Mm.
But no, it was really cliched, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
My favorite thing about Ouija boards is they're literally not an old thing. They always try to trumpet like, it's this old mystical thing. It's not. Parker Brothers owns the trademark to the word Ouija board.
yeah.
They literally created it. It is not a thing.
You notice how nobody ever plays Ouija board with their eyes closed? Can't do it. Ghost won't talk to you on a Ouija board with your eyes closed. They ain't doing it.
Absolutely.
And if you spell bad, so do the ghosts. Just so you know that.
Well, that's. I mean, kind of going back to this Ouija, like it said, like that's the Halloween movie for this year. Like the big movie coming out this week is Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal, which actually looks like a really good movie, but not a horror movie. But I mean, for a long time, Halloween was dominated by Saw, but now that franchise is done, and Paranormal Activity had it for a while, and
Hocus Pocus will forever be my favorite Halloween movie. And
Halloween Town.
Aha, yeah.
Ernest Scared Stupid. That's probably too old for Robert. Back me up.
No, sir.
What? What? I remember seeing Ernest Scared Stupid in the theaters, and it creeped me out as a kid. There's like a troll in it.
I remember I beat up a kid that saw that once in a theater.
You're a classy guy, Robert.
I never saw that one. I don't know. It could be awesome.
It is. No, I'm sure it's terrible. I saw it.
And I'm sure it did not impede that kid's development. Growth.
But it is kind of interesting, though, that we're kind of getting away from. We had a lot of these big series that went for a long time. There's how many Saw movies, how many Paranormal Activity movies, but you're kind of seeing less and less of that. Or they're going more straight to DVD. Like you had even the old ones. I mean, how many Friday the 13th are there? How many Nightmare on Elm Streets? How many Halloween movies? And all of those, you really had series, and you're almost kind of getting away from that. I mean, you get a couple that will get like a sequel, but it's not quite the same thing where they just keep making them forever.
Yeah.
Well,
And then when they go to space, they all go to space at some point.
That is the final frontier. You got no choice.
Yeah. Jason goes to space?
Sucked.
Leprechaun goes to space. Hellraiser goes to space.
Sucked less.
What?
Alien went to space. I'm just
Yeah, well, yeah. Always in space.
yeah.
Well, but actually, no, really though, the first Alien was space, but Aliens and Alien 3, they were all like
Yeah,
on
there is.
stuff. They weren't just floating around. Which is probably why they're less scary. I think there is something kind of creepy about being stuck.
I don't know that you could. Alien was a horror movie.
Yeah.
It just so happened to be set in space.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you could say the same thing about Aliens.
No, I agree. I think Alien is probably more of an action movie.
Oh, you know what else is a great space horror movie is Event Horizon. That movie was spooky.
None of those other movies that I just said, though, that went to space, I would not qualify any of those as good movies.
No.
When they go to space is almost always the worst out of a series.
Well, except for the exception would probably be Hellraiser. That was not a bad flick.
Yeah, Bloodlines. That was one that ends up in space. Was actually that was probably the last decent Hellraiser movie. But Jason Goes to Space is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my entire life.
Did Freddy ever go to space?
No, Freddy didn't get to go to space. That makes me sad.
Don't let Freddy go to space.
I wasn't sure if there was some spin-off I didn't hear about yet or something.
We need to make it.
He went to Jason's house, and
That's
Jason
true.
went to space.
So,
Close enough.
vicariously, Freddy went to space through everybody else. But, there is something, though, I kind of miss about the series movies, We did a bunch of them. Even as weird as they would... because that was always the thing about them. That's where it was almost interesting, is to see where they would keep going, because they had to keep making these movies. But, what do you do once you get to the fifth movie? And that's when shit gets weird, and I kind of love those. Like Halloween, man, those movies got weird after a while.
Where'd Chucky go?
Oh yeah, Chucky. They went for quite a while on that. I think they just rebooted that too.
And it was terrible.
Yeah, they
Or so.
Chucky didn't go to space,
Yeah.
but he had a kid,
And a wife.
a wife and a kid. Yeah,
Yep.
those were awful movies. Those were terrible.
I'm not.
But
Yeah. Just recently saw a list of the top costumes for Halloween to make your child dress up as, and there was a picture of a baby dressed like Chucky. It was terrible.
that is awesome.
It was terrible. Oh, I felt so bad for that kid.
Oh yeah, that's
What
great
was
for a
going on?
child. That's amazing. That's
Yep.
a good idea.
Have y'all ever watched any of those, like I Spit on Your Grave or Last House on the Left? Or
Last House
Yeah.
on the Left,
I
yeah.
watched Last House on the Left. Is that the one where they're out?
There's Last House on the Left and House at the End of the Street. I always get mixed up.
Yeah, and I've seen both of them. House at the End of the Street is the one with Jennifer Lawrence, right?
Yep.
Okay, and then
Yes.
Last House on the Left, is that the one where the people that almost killed their daughter actually ended up staying in their guest house, and then
Yep.
Yeah.
okay,
There's a
Yeah.
lake. Yep.
there's,
And then,
there's always a lake.
She's a
Like,
swimmer?
Apparently,
Yeah.
apparently, if there's a lake, you're gonna die.
Yeah. Oh yeah, leaks are bad in horror movies. See, actually, Last House on the Left is a remake of a Wes Craven movie. One of his first movies was Last House on the Left, and I hate it. It's disgusting.
I Spit on Your Grave is also one of those.
Yeah, I have a hard time
That
getting
one-
through those.
That one deals with rape. I think that one caused some
So
fuss
does Last
in the 70s when it was done, because it was really graphic in how it depicted the rape, and
So Last House on the Left. That's the way that one is too.
she
Yeah.
made sure them boys got their comeuppance.
No, they're kind of very similar movies. I Spit in Your Grave and Last House on the Left are very, very similar type movies.
Really more thriller, horror.
Yeah. I think one of the things I really hate about the original, it's funny that, it's a good thing, because I did see the remake, and I thought that was pretty decent, what they did, but that original, there's this really weird side plot of these two cops are trying to get out to the house, but their car breaks down, and they end up hitching a ride with, a farmer with a thing full of chickens that they ride with the chickens. It's this really weird, slapstick comedy in the middle of this movie about rape and murder and all this. it's very off-putting. So I've never really been into those kind of horror movies very much. But they definitely have their market. You know, I mean, honestly, I think you kind of put Saw in those kind of movies. I mean, kind of the more, you know, they're not necessarily horror, they're kind of gore. You had like
Violence?
Hostel movies.
Violence, porn. I liked Hostel.
Hostel.
Kind of going off
Hostel
of that,
is
I was
good.
actually
I liked it.
talking to my theater history professor today about this topic, and one of the reasons we get so much gore and stuff like that is horror movies are kind of they're always going for the shock factor, and it's kind of getting to that point where you have to get really creative to shock audiences now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I like the effects of them. I like to try to figure out how they solve those challenges, you know, with some of the violent stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think
It's not real, so I mean, how do they do that stuff? Some of that stuff's, you know, like Saw and Hostel. I mean, they had some pretty elaborate gore scenes.
see, I'd give it to those movies. Kind of, Chris was kind of talking about how they get made and stuff. I think with the bigger budget that you're getting for a lot of these horror movies, you're starting to see a lot more CG instead of practical effects in horror,
Yeah.
and that disturbs me. Because I mean, if you're gonna have a horror movie, it should be practical. It should all be practical effects.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Infinitely looks better. I think CG in horror is bad. I don't think I've ever seen a really good example of it.
I'm down with some CG, but like I don't want to see CG blood. Like I want to see
Yeah.
practical blood.
That's the worst when you see.
But yeah, digital blood is awful, god awful.
Never looks good. It never looks real, and that's
Right.
not that. Like action movies use that all the time now, and it's disturbing.
Well, you know, I don't mind it so much in like 300. That actually looked kind of good, but that was that was stylized. Yeah, but I mean, that's one
The
example
actors
where
cared enough they would just really bleed.
Right. Just slice them open.
Method.
They're extras. Who cares? They're getting paid a day.
Real method.
You live by the horror, you die by the horror.
Yep.
So, see, I
You
think,
know, any y'all Scream fan?
no, do not like Scream.
No, not even the first one.
Did not ever enjoy the Scream franchise. I didn't even see the new one.
Ah, fuck the new one. The first one was pretty decent though, I thought. What about the Blair Witch? Any y'all fans of that one?
I saw the Blair Witch Project in the theater, and I remember being creeped out by the last 10 minutes. You know, the rest of it was crap, but that last 10 minutes.
Yeah, because the whole show is just this incredibly long build-up, and you always keep thinking something's going to jump out, but then it never does until the very end. Yeah.
See, that's a really that movie really brought about. You can really, I mean, not specifically that movie, but that really did kind of bring about the craze a little bit of the based on a true story.
The
movies
found footage.
used that before. She got a lot more after Blair Witch, especially the found footage one. Like that movie, The Devil Inside, that came out a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Not even at all real at all. Like they literally added time code to their video, which, I mean, if you shoot video now, there is no fucking time code on that. Time code does not run on that shit anymore. But they're like digitally adding in all of this stuff that does not show up on an actual video that you get. Like it's got a battery icon. I remember at one point. It's like, go to hell. I mean, like you're trying to make it look like this. It's not actual found footage.
Yep.
Paranormal Activity, maybe again. Just all these. I don't like found footage.
Actually, have you
thank
watched-
Blair Witch Project.
Have you watched As Above, So Below? Did you go see that?
Want to?
No, but that did look kind of interesting.
Oh, it's so good. It's one of the best ones I've seen in a very long time, actually.
Is it a found
I'd
footage?
have to check that one out.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It made me want to become like an archaeologist for 2 hours after watching it.
Is that the one where they go to Russia or France or wherever the hell it is that they're going?
Yeah, to
Under
Italy, I
Paris,
think.
right? It's under Paris, right?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Oh, Paris, yeah.
I think one of the
I
few
don't know.
exceptions for me for found footage horror movies is The Last Exorcism. I think it's on Netflix. If you get a chance, you should watch that one. It's a found footage one, but it's actually really, really interesting because it's about a guy who, I mean, it's still, again, that fake, based on a true story kind of crap, and it's obviously not. But the main character is a priest who would perform exorcisms, but he was kind of a fraud, and he's kind of making this documentary to show, because he feels bad about all these people he defrauded, so he's kind of showing the tricks of the trade of how he does exorcisms. And then, of course, he gets the case that maybe there's really a demon. But it's actually pretty good, except for the last 5 minutes are pretty stupid, but the rest of it's actually a really good little movie.
It just occurred to me I haven't seen it forever, and I'm gonna have to look it up. Poltergeist was a good horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Poltergeist is an interesting one because that was directed by Tobe Hooper, who did the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But it's one of those, like, Tobe Hooper makes crappy horror movies. He's really bad. Hey, babe. Tobe Hooper makes really terrible horror movies. But everybody's like, but Poltergeist, but he made Poltergeist. It's one of the few good ones. But actually, he really didn't. Spielberg produced it, and apparently the story is that Spielberg, like Tobe Hooper, was doing terrible, so Spielberg just kind of stepped in and actually directed that movie. But it's still credited as Tobe Hooper. And that's why it doesn't feel like any of his other movies, because it's actually good.
That movie taught me one of my very first life lessons.
So.
Don't drink the worm.
Yep. No, Poltergeist was... I enjoyed that. But... yeah, did that one try to do... I was kind of thinking, thinking back to these, based on true story movies. That I think one of the first times I got used was the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie.
That one's kind of freaky.
But that was kind of one of those that was based on true story. But they didn't have a lot of marketing budget, so what they really tried to do was... that's kind of how they promoted the movie. And it got people talking about it. But it is not based on a true story at all. This did not happen. It's kind of based on Ed Gein, famous serial killer. But, I mean, the story of Texas Chainsaw Massacre is not a real story. But everybody was convinced that,
Hello?
oh, my God, yeah, this happened. Oh, Alex is finally in.
Oh my
There's
gosh.
like 50
Yeah, my
movies that
stuff-
steal bits and pieces of that Ed Gein or King's story. I mean...
yeah, most serial killer horror movies that exist are kind of based on Ed Gein. Silence of the Lambs, Buffalo Bill is based on Ed Gein.
Yep. That a lot of the horror
Okay,
movies.
so I'm
have
sorry to join in
based
so late, but what's going on right now?
We're talking about Ed Gein and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, okay. I know stuff about said serial.
Well, see, I think the interesting thing about Ed Gein is...
Yeah, that was a bit of a... Sorry.
Go
I
ahead.
was just going to say that basically the kind of the thing is they're not really sure if he actually really killed that many people. He dug up graves a lot.
Well, he didn't. He dug. Yeah, that was his thing. He dug up graves, mostly of women, and he basically constructed like a female skin suit, which is disturbing as all hell.
Mm-hmm.
He made
Buffalo Bill.
gloves too. He made like
Buffalo Bill, yeah.
furniture.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's one of the
Yeah,
creepiest
he made
characters.
furniture.
Lampshades, all that.
Except he didn't. Yeah, what his whole Ed Gein's whole thing was he actually like after his mom died he decided he wanted to get like a sex change or something like that. He was a really warped guy, and the fact that
I think he was
he
perfectly
killed a
healthy.
couple people. Oh yeah.
He's still there.
Look, he's just misunderstood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
side
well,
effect.
folks. Who hasn't in this day and age? Who hasn't killed just a couple people?
Just a few people. It's
Am I right or am I right?
Personally, my pillows are made out of human skin. I mean,
All right, Julia, you took it too far.
I'm gonna get
I mean,
arrested.
it's the most comfortable. Oh.
no, it's okay.
Well, see, and actually,
I'm
in
really
another movie that's based on him is Psycho. Hitchcock's
Yep,
Psycho.
Norman Bates.
Oh, yeah.
Norman Bates.
Yep.
Probably one of the most famous
Norman-
slasher movies ever made is Psycho.
How do you feel about the Bates Motel?
Did you
that's
see
been
that?
on?
The
I haven't
remake?
seen it. Haven't seen it.
It's his story as a kid.
Is it any good?
It's
Did any?
Yeah, I like it a lot. Yeah.
Might check it out.
Did anyone here see the remake of it with like
Oh,
what's
Gus
his
Van
face?
Sant's remake with Vince Vaughn.
Yeah,
That is a shot-for-shot remake
with
of Psycho.
Vince Vaughn. As a
Yeah.
what?
It's a shot-for-shot remake. Gus Van Sant is literally shot-for-shot remake of the original Psycho, which is one of the dumbest things I've ever even heard of. If you're going to shot-for-shot remake it, just watch the original. You did nothing different. You made it worse.
Like
Yeah,
what I
you
didn't,
did.
what I. He did one thing different. He put it in color, which Hitchcock himself didn't even do.
No. Black and white's
Uh,
not that kind of stuff.
He also put Vince Vaughn in the movie, and Hitchcock did not do that.
No, he did not.
Well,
So-
Thank you.
Vince Vaughn wasn't born yet. I'm sure that if he was born before the filming of that movie, Hitchcock definitely would have put him in.
Anthony Perkins might have been okay. I mean, that made it and ruined it. Because, like, he was an actor, I mean, he was a working actor before Psycho, and then nobody wanted to hire him again because they just thought he was Norman Bates.
That's the issue with playing an iconic character is once you've played that one, they can only see you as that one character.
Mm-hmm. Nice mustache, Allie.
Thank you. I stole it from your wedding.
Oh. I think what's interesting that you say about Anthony Perkins kind of, but I think the one difference is Anthony Perkins was actually a good actor, like legitimately a very talented, very good actor. But you have a lot of guys like Robert Englund, who played Freddy Krueger, but Robert Englund's not a very good actor.
Are you kidding me? Have you ever?
But he's not a very good actor. I don't think he's going to get a breadth of roles beyond that.
Have you not seen V?
No, actually, I haven't. I saw the Angler though that he was in.
You have to leave the podcast and Dirty Sprocket because you're a bad person. He played an alien in V.
As a creator, Robert.
He was awesome.
Oh no. You can't have Robert Englund and awesome in the same sentence.
Nobody has ever
I
said.
take personal offense.
Nobody has ever said, "Welcome
Yeah,
to prime
Julia-
time, bitch," like Robert Englund ever.
Well, I would give when he's Freddy Krueger, he's awesome.
Julia really just a heads up. Julia really loves the Nightmare on Elm Street stuff, so you might want to watch what you say around her.
Freddy is bad.
Just a quick heads up.
So
I love
okay,
Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm a fan.
I love them too. I've seen them all.
I'm a super fan.
Except
Except
for
for the remake. Remake was
that was not good. Freddy's
God
Dead is
awful.
terrible. The fifth one. That movie is
Oh,
terrible.
no,
And then
I
Tom
didn't
Arnold
like that
and
one.
Roseanne, when they were married, they had a cameo in it.
I
Real bad.
Where did all the children go?
That movie.
pers-
What were you saying, Julie?
I was gonna say personally, my favorite in the Nightmare on Elm Street was the third one, Dream
That's the best.
Warriors.
Dream Warriors
That's
is
the first
awesome.
one.
Dream Warriors is awesome. What do you think of? Okay, how many of you have seen the second Nightmare on Elm Street movie?
He's gay.
Yeah, it's all about being gay.
Yeah,
Well, no,
Like,
see,
and people didn't even necessarily catch it when it came out, but it is totally meant to be that way.
it's not meant to be that way.
I
No,
read an interview with the director that said afterwards that
I
It was
watched
meant to be.
just recently a big 3-hour freaking thing on Nightmare on Elm Street, and the director was like, "We didn't know that. We wanted some of those undertones, but what we realized after it was made is none of the undertones were under. They were all overtly homosexual overtones. But it's not how it was intended. Regardless of what anybody says, We did not set out to make this guy a homo.
So maybe they're changing it around a little bit because I heard him say that it was. So maybe they're adding it after the fact to be like, no, we totally did that on purpose.
It could be, but yeah, there's like this long 3-hour documentary on that stuff, and they talked about it in detail. An elite actor who is actually gay, by the way, he's all like, "Well, I remember filming this." And I'm like, "This is just as gay as it gets." And the director wasn't getting it. He was just, or he was playing dumb. They're like, "Do you not see this? How do you? What's going on here?"
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super duper gay.
Yeah. Well, we're getting towards the end here a little bit. Let's talk about anything horror related that's going on right now that you're kind of into. That includes TV, because there actually is quite a bit of horror going on TV right now, which is kind of awesome. You get a lot of choices now. What's everybody's kind of favorite horror thing that's going right now? Movies, TV, anything?
I personally... Sorry, you can go. No? Okay. I personally really liked the first season of American Horror Story. And
Yes.
I only watched half of the second. I haven't seen the third. And I've watched like one episode of the season that's out now. But the thing that I really liked about the first season was, in general, the ghosts, you couldn't tell the difference between them and another human. And I think, to me, that's kind of what's the scariest thing, is not being able to protect yourself from something because you don't know that it's there. And just, this weirdest things were scary to me. Like, in the first episode, the twins that are popping those little things, every time that noise came up, I would just physically cringe because that sound terrified me. It was just a sound, but, it brought so much tension. It was insane for me. So that's... Because that was in the first episode, I just immediately loved that season of the show.
That was one I tried getting into and I just couldn't. I watched like the first.
I'm also not a particular show.
See,
Yeah.
I just it failed in any sort of way, shape, or form.
I really enjoyed the first season, and I finished the second season, and that was really good.
I heard really good things about the second season. That it was really, some of the stuff they did was really interesting.
Especially nearing the end, the last few episodes. It was really good. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not really like my cup of tea, as you would say. I'm just not a fan.
I think I'm well into the second season. I'm just past the part where the Angel of Death shows up. I'm like an episode or two into that.
Is there anybody else? What's some horror stuff you're enjoying? I guess plug in some stuff.
Supernatural.
I like Supernatural.
I like Supernatural.
I need to start watching that again. I haven't watched it in a while, and I hate myself for it.
That's how I feel. I haven't seen an episode in weeks, and I'm
There's
very...
a lot to get through.
Yeah.
You haven't started watching
It's a huge undertaking. You have to be dedicated.
it.
Yeah, that's my thing. I have dedication issues when it comes to TV shows and stuff like that. I don't know. Like, the way I do it is I get on Netflix and I'm games while I'm watching it, and I just kind of stop doing that. I don't know. I kind of fell out of it.
Is there anybody that's Walking Dead fans?
Yeah.
Yes.
Nope.
Haven't seen a single episode.
I am enjoying it.
The Walking Dead is fabulous.
Didn't have Robert Englund in it, so I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I really like The Walking Dead. It's I want to see a lot more urban setting because I think they've just been in the woods for way too long.
Yeah.
And I know that, I mean, obviously being out of a city isn't, inherently safer with, zombies. But I just feel like I'd like to see a lot more of what happened, like, in the first 2 episodes.
Yeah,
as
there's some
opposed
really
to the
great
last
stuff
3
they
seasons,
did. Yeah.
Have you guys read the comics, the graphic novels for them?
Yeah, I've
Oh, I
got
haven't.
about the first 15 volumes.
Okay.
Have
Of
you
it?
read some of the most recent ones?
No, I
Like,
haven't
like
read the most
I
recent ones.
I haven't at all. No, I'd like to.
oh, it like right now they're up to probably the best villain that's ever going to
Really?
be in Walking Dead, and I
Mm.
think it's going to be really interesting how they handle that in the show. It's not a spoiler, but there's this character Negan, and I think
Okay.
in one little panel he drops the F bomb 6 times.
There's a
That-
lot of
I
swearing
really
and violence and nudity in the comics.
Okay.
but
If I can get on this, all right. Before I say anything, I like The Walking Dead on and off. It's sort of okay. The only issue I have with it is why zombies? Why did it have to be
because
the one thing that has been overused to the point where it's just ridiculous?
oh no, The Walking Dead's going to be
It's
about
the only
humans.
way people are gonna cope with the world ending now.
Because sparkling
It's
vampires.
the only zombies way that the world's gonna end. That, like, if the world ended in in a giant jam apocalypse, you people wouldn't be able to cope with it because it's just not zombies.
Well, see, I think one thing you got to look at with that a little bit is the comic was started like in 2001.
Where it was barely taking off, the whole zombie.
Yeah, I mean the show kind of came out after there's been a lot of stuff, but honestly, the comics really started at a time when there wasn't a lot of that out there. The comics been running for a lot of years now. I think they were one of the more interesting ones too when it kind of started. You've seen a lot more of that now, but kind of the discussion of humans, how they relate to zombies. It's kind of more human interaction than
Well,
necessarily the zombie killing.
That's what I keep hearing, though. I keep hearing people say stuff like it's all about the humans and all their goings on and how they get along with the world ending, and that's where my biggest issue comes. If you can have that without zombies,
Yeah.
so why even have them there?
Because the author wanted it there.
That's all right. But what all I'm saying is like
People like
you
violence.
you can have. Yeah, people like violence, but here's the thing: you're gonna have violence in any story about the world ending.
Well, I think it's a little bit different. I mean, you could go like Mad Max, but that'd be a whole different kind of story. Now, I would totally watch a Mad Max TV show.
Yeah.
Are you gonna see the new one that's coming out?
Absolutely.
I'm kind of on the fence about it.
The right kind of crazy for me is the way it looks so far.
Any kind of crazy is the right kind of crazy.
Except for apparently
You mean-
zombies.
You mean like skin?
What was that, Alex?
All right, think of your idea of crazy. That is the right kind of crazy.
What were you saying, Ellie?
I was snarky comment about skin too.
Jeez, just
I'm wearing my sass
You are
pants.
so full of sass tonight, Allie.
all
You
day
are so full of bean.
Okay, but going back to the zombie thing,
Mhm.
just because I brushed up on my monster theory because it's a theory that I really like, but the reason we see so much of kind of the same thing is because monster theory. Has anybody else heard of that?
Oh yeah.
Nope.
Okay. Well, monsters, there's
Oh,
like 7 parts to it, and I mean, I'm not super well versed in it, but a big part of it is that horror things, change with society, and they kind of reflect society at the time. And I think a lot of people, we as a society, are definitely afraid of the world ending and being completely out of control. And zombies kind of reflect that. So zombies are a big thing right now. And it's the reason that Dracula turned into Edward Cullen is change.
Because some crazy woman had a dream about a faggy vampire.
Yes.
No, I mean, yeah, definitely. Dracula and vampires were a much different kind of horror back
They
then.
always-
Well, way back when vampires came about due to the classical fear, like the first tales of vampires you'll see were surfaced around big outbreaks of tuberculosis back in the, I think it was around the Middle Ages when people were being just buried alive.
Yeah,
They were
because-
born around that time, and they represented all the classical fears of budding sexuality and all that stuff, and now they just kind of represent looking really pouty and brooding. I guess.
That's actually the first part of Monster Theory, is that they are birthed by their cultures, like the time and the place and the culture anxiety, and they change with the culture. But that's exactly what you just said, is that it birthed around Middle Ages when everyone was afraid of that. So that was actually the first part.
Well, I think with zombies, I mean, you're even seeing it right now with people freaking out about Ebola. That I think it's kind of this idea of kind of disease a little bit too. That
Yeah.
is kind of a common fear today.
Definitely.
I think most everybody kind of wants a zombie apocalypse to happen, but they'll never outright say, "I want this to happen."
No, everybody
every-
wants a zombie apocalypse to happen. They just want to be the one person that can out.
To survive.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. Most people think that they're going to become some badass in a zombie apocalypse.
Exactly. They want to be that person.
Well, they need to have they need to have the mentality of what they're going to be. All they can really hope for is to die in a pose that confuses future archaeologists. Because that's what's going to happen to you in an apocalypse setting. And with that
Have you guys
mindset,
ever
you'll
seen-
definitely get farther than "I'm a badass."
What are you
Sorry
saying,
to cut you off.
No.
I think one of the most
Oh.
important things with zombie stuff is that. Did I cut you off again, Chris? Sorry.
No, you're great.
No, I was gonna say,
Whatever you're going to say, it's not important.
it's
It's
funny
probably
that
not,
everybody can
actually.
shoot things in the head in
Yeah.
zombie stuff, and that's difficult to shoot guns.
Yeah, you can do that in any apocalypse movie or story. Anything
Yeah.
though.
Sorry, what were you gonna say, Chris?
Well, I was just gonna say, have you guys ever seen Bite Me? It's a really short mini series on Hulu, and I think it's only on Hulu. It's a really independent series, but it completely sums up what Alex was just saying about people always want to be that one person who becomes the famous star of the apocalypse, and
The
this
badass.
series, yeah. And so this series follows these three guys who do that, and they get famous on YouTube because only LA is affected, and so it's quarantined. So the rest of the world is watching these YouTube videos of these three guys just being a bunch of badasses in the apocalypse.
That's kind of cool.
Wait, what is that
And-
called? I want to watch that.
It's called
It's called
Bite Me.
I've seen it. I've actually seen it, and
Yeah.
it
They
made me
learn how
laugh.
to live.
I chuckled.
Yeah, it's funny. They learn how to live by playing Resident Evil, right? And so they play so much Resident Evil, and that's their training for the apocalypse, is because they play video games. And so everybody who doesn't play video games dies.
Yeah, so
It's-
everyone who
it's
doesn't
great.
play video games is fucked, is what you're basically saying.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be okay because I watched Zombieland.
Oh, yeah.
You're set. All right, I think we're
I did my
we're gonna run
cardio.
out of time here. What I want to go through real quick is I want everybody to give some kind of recommendation of something horror-based to our viewers out there. So we'll just go through, everybody just kind of give one thing that somebody should go watch, read, play, something that is horror. Okay. I'll go ahead and start so you guys can think real quick. One of my favorite horror movies now, I think, of all time is a little movie you can watch on Netflix from a couple of years ago, small independent movie called Pontypool. And it is about language zombies.
Language
Takes place-
zombies?
Yes, language zombies, and it takes place in a radio station.
Okay.
It is, I think, one of the more creative kind of premises and idea, and also kind of just the way of doing the movie is really creative. It all takes place in this radio station. You're not actually seeing a lot of this stuff, but it's getting covered and it's being told through the radio and stuff. It's really, really fantastic. If you get a chance, Pontypool. It is amazing.
Okay.
So we'll keep going through though, and somebody else give us a recommendation.
I just posted a link in the chat here to a movie about
Saw that.
midget vampires called ankle biters. Go watch it. That's
Of course you would.
Ankle
I heard
biter.
about that.
it's a real movie.
Good job, Robert. That's a fantastic plug. All right.
One that comes to mind is, and I'm sure that you got that. Some of you have seen it, but with Thanksgiving coming around, the classic terrible movie Thanksgiving. Have you guys ever seen that?
Yes.
It's so bad. But it's It's good. I think it shows how not to make a horror movie. It's it's a good one.
Troll
it a-
2 is how not to make a horror movie. That's
That's
how to
true.
make a perfect comedy.
No,
Yeah.
Troll 2 is amazing.
Chris, is your movie a
Troll
prequel?
2 is amazing. That's not what I'm saying.
What, Robert?
I'm saying it's a perfect way to make a great comedy.
Is your movie, is that a prequel to Silent Night, Deadly Night? Because it comes before, get it? Because you have Thanksgiving and then Christmas. Yeah, see what I did there? 'Cause I'm
I don't
clever.
know.
That was a thing there for a while that every holiday had a horror movie, like April Fool's Day.
Like a bad one? Oh.
Yeah,
Like
they
a
were
bad
not a
one.
good one.
They're all bad.
They were all bad. But April Fool's Day is one that comes to mind. But yeah, there was one for every holiday. Had a bad
Yep.
horror movie.
Is
What
there
is
a
it
bad
called?
Valentine's Day movie?
Yeah, Valentine's Day.
My Bloody Valentine.
My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Allie, what's your movie?
Alright, so the other day I was just scrolling along the Facebook, and I found this list on BuzzFeed or whatever, and it was like, 11 horror movies you need to watch this October, la la la. So Jazz and I watched, we watched The Awakening, and you know, I was very tired. It was like 2 in the morning. I had class the next morning, but so I may not be remembering correctly, but I liked it at the time.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna say go watch it. There are some definitely good aspects of that movie, and you know, tell me what you think.
That's a good one. I enjoyed that one. Has McNulty from The Wire, so that makes everything better.
I just really liked that. Oh wait, I shouldn't say that. Spoiler. Never mind. I liked the moment where you're like, what?
It's a very British horror movie.
Mhm.
You gotta be easy on the spoilers.
Yeah. Caught myself.
All right, Alex.
John dies at the end.
There
As
you go.
far as much as I've looked it up on the internet, I'm still astounded by the amount of people who have not read this book yet.
Have you read the book yet?
Silence.
I think we just lost him. He can't
Yeah.
just-
Okay.
He's got his word in and he's out.
Yep. Yeah, John
John-
dies at the end, though.
John dies at the end.
Fantastic book. If you haven't read it, go read it.
Awesome book. So is the
amazing.
second one.
Yep, this book is full of spiders. I love.
What's
All
yours,
right.
Julie?
Sinister.
That was a fun one.
I don't know that one.
I think it was the first time since I had watched Amusement all those years back that I hid behind my hands watching a movie.
Yeah.
So I would watch Sinister.
Ethan Hawke movie. See, actually, the guy that directed that is directing the Doctor Strange movie.
Oh, yeah?
Really?
Yeah.
Sorry, my connection decided to fuck me there. So, yeah, that was the end of my thing.
We figured.
Alrighty. Well, I think we're pretty much wrapped up for tonight.
I have one more suggestion.
Okay.
Watch scary movies with your friend that gets scared really easily for added entertainment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. Well, I think we're going to kind of call it a night here pretty shortly. I think probably the next topic for the next time we do a docket, I'm hoping maybe next Thursday, we're going to be talking about the slate of all the superhero movies to come out over the next 5 years. Now that Marvel has announced their plan, DC has announced their plan.
Awesome.
So I think that's probably going to be our next topic. A lot of fun stuff to delve into with that. Yeah, I think that'd be good. So with that, does anybody have any closing thoughts?
Hopefully next time my computer will let me do an entire damn thing. My computer's a piece of shit.
It may not technically be horror, I'm not sure, but it's kind of a psychological thriller. Also watch Hard Candy with Ellen Page.
Yeah.
I liked that one.
The creepy one. Patrick Wilson.
Ellen Page is a horror movie.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
All right.
It's
Okay,
bedtime.
Ellen. I think that's a great way to end it. Ellen Page is a horror movie. And I think with that, we will go ahead and call it a night. So thank you all for watching. Thank everybody for participating tonight. And keep an eye out. Friend will be released soon through Dirty Sprocket, and we'll have another docket coming soon. All right. Good night.
Cool.
Good night.